You're listening to Coffee and Sports from Wire to Wire Sports Network on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong, don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. Yeah, we're lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out, till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning and welcome. It is Coffee and Sports. It is the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. Thank you so much for making us part of your morning routine. I am Chris, and of course, that over there, that is Mo. Mo, happy Thursday, sir.
Happy Thursday to you, partner, and everybody out there listening to the show. And look, and to all you Dodgers fans,
y'all just won one. You just won one in 2020. Yeah, you know what's funny? Mo? Because the Dodgers obviously get back to the World Series, and they get back to the World Series, and then the commentary kind of becomes, yeah, they won it in 2020, but it was the pandemic year, and they couldn't do the parade, and it didn't really feel like they won it. That's why they got to win it this year. That's fine. I'm okay with that narrative. You know who doesn't hold that same energy? Laker fans. You don't hear Laker fans be, oh, well, we really got to get in. No, they're hanging on to that championship, Mo, because they don't know when the next one's going to come. So that one counts for now.
Oh, for sure, because the next one's not right around the corner. That's for sure.
But let's start there. Mo, let's be honest. The Dodgers were the better team. They played a nearly flawless series against the New York Yankees, and I don't have an issue with really anything that Aaron Boone did in this, and I know he's getting killed by Yankee fans. Maybe he shouldn't have walked Mookie Betts in game one, since Mookie was like 0-5 in his career against Cortez. Maybe Cortez shouldn't have pitched in that spot, but we didn't know that Freddie Freeman was about to do what Freddie Freeman did in this series. But outside of that, I don't really have an issue with any of the moves that Aaron Boone made, because at the end of the day, people got to hit. People got to hit with runners in scoring position. Your best players got to hit. The Yankees took a 5-0 lead last night, Mo. And then you see Garrett Cole do something that he'll probably do maybe one other time ever in his career, if at all. He just forgets to cover first base. Mo, if he covers first base, it's 5-0 going to the bottom of the fifth. Like, it's a completely different ball game at that point. And we're not even talking at that point about how we forgot how to catch the ball in the outfield. We're not talking about any of that. The Dodgers played a clean series, and the Yankees were sloppy. The first two games were close. The game 3, the Dodgers dominated the entire game until the Yankees got back into it in the 9th with that who cares home run by Verdugo. The Yankees dominated game 4. It looked like they were going to dominate game 5, and the wheels fell off. Mo, you don't usually win baseball games when you make 3 errors, you give up all these unearned runs, catcher interference. You don't usually win games like that, especially against teams the caliber of the Dodgers. So I get it. It sucks if you're a Yankee fan. You're hoping this wasn't the end for Soto and Pinstripes.
Yeah.
He was already talking about it in the post-game mode. They asked him, like, would you consider the Mets? And he gave a very troublesome answer, Mo. He goes, I'll consider anyone. I got no doors closed. I am open to business to all 30 teams. All right, fine, Juan. Go out there and listen to what they have. Hopefully you come back to the Pinstripes. But Mo, the better team won the series. The better team won the game last night. And that's kind of the way it's supposed to go, is it not?
Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to go. But I was watching last night, and I'll be honest, when it was 5-0 Yankees, I had already made up my mind, like, so we're going to game 6, right? We're going to go to game 6.
Garrett was dealing at that point too.
Right. So I'm thinking we're going to game 6, and suddenly all the pressure will shift to the Dodgers because it'll be game 6. And I turned the TV away. I actually turned to a boring NBA game that was not very good. And I turned back and I'm like, what happened? What did I miss? I missed so much. And obviously from that point on, I didn't turn away again because there was electricity in the air. And look, I think the Dodgers were the better team, but that game was more about the Yankees than the Dodgers.
No, 100%, 100%. All right, Mo, before we get to making our NFL picks today, let's talk a couple of NFL nuggets that I did not get to discuss with you earlier on this week. Let's start with the return of the man, the myth, the legend himself. Joey Flax is now the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, mostly because the boy wonder, Mo, he just needed a little break. You know, he ran around a little too much. He got a little too tired. His chest was probably feeling a little heavy, and he tapped out, Mo. He had to take a quick second over there on the sideline. And funny thing is, I'm watching the game, and I see him tap his helmet, and I'm like, oh, he's hurt again. Like, that was my initial response. He's hurt again. That sucks. And then, you know, you know how those NFL sideline reporters are. They're trying to get that scoop, and they can't verify an injury. And I'm thinking, there's no way he just like took himself out of it. That doesn't happen. So I made it a point to figure out how to watch the Indianapolis Colts post-game press conference because I knew they were going to ask the coach. But Mo, we got so much more than that because they asked Anthony Richardson, and he just said, man, I was tired. I ran around in the play before. I just needed a minute. Mo, never in the history of the NFL, to our knowledge, has a NFL quarterback willingly taken himself out of the game because he was tired.
Yeah,
and now he has no job. Now he has no job. Now, are the two things related? I think they kind of are. Now, I think it doesn't help the fact that, you know, he has statistically the worst completion percentage for qualified quarterbacks of the last like 40 years or something crazy like that. Worse than Jamarcus Russell, worse than Tim Tebow. You know, guys who just couldn't throw the football. That doesn't help his cause any. It also doesn't help his cause any that we've seen Joe Flacco play with the ones and start in his spot and win football games and score points. That doesn't help any. But Mo, how do you tell the offensive line to line up and protect this dude when he gets tired, he's just gonna tap out and take a little breather?
And how do you even say that knowing that you say you're tired? The offensive line is basically Greco-Roman wrestling on every play.
Correct.
On every
Every
play, they're doing this. And I'm sure they're tired too, but you know what? They line up for the next play too. Like, my thing is, you're the quarterback. You're in the red zone. You know what you can do? Call a running play. You don't have a strength to hand the ball off. I don't understand that at all. And look, I think on his play alone, he could have got benched. Let's be sure of that. On his play alone,
sure.
the man was 10 for 32 in the game. 10 for 32. I just think the I was tired tap out bit, I think that might have just fractured the locker room. Like, they had to go like, come on, man. I know Flacco's not our future, but we're competing. We're trying to win right now. And this guy is anything but ready to be a starting quarterback. And we talked about this the other day about how, well, if you do this, could it fracture what's left of his confidence? It could, but I would say this: maybe the Colts are doing something very few franchises do when they make a mistake. They're owning it and saying, like, I think we've seen enough. He's not the guy. You know what? We messed up Chris. Maybe at some point Chris Ballard to come out and go, I knew he was going to be a project. He's a freak athlete. But it wouldn't shock me if the Colts draft a quarterback this offseason.
I mean, what have you seen from him in his first 7, 8, 9 NFL starts that would give you any hope or any indication, Mo, that he is a starting quarterback? I mean, is there anything there that you could point at and be like, well, look at this?
Yeah, I mean, you could. So you get the wow play, right? Because he can throw a 70-yard out of nowhere monster pass or a play, but he'll follow that up by the fact that he can't throw an out route. He can't throw a cut route. He clearly can't recognize defenses because he just locks in on wide receivers. The conversation became, is he an NFL player? And I was like, yeah, but I think because of the kind of athlete he is, Chris, maybe you use him more like we discussed this, like, is he more in the Taysom Hill role? Like, because he is a great athlete. Couldn't he do other things on the football field to help the team win? I guess that's one way to look at it. Or you could say, well, the Colts aren't coaching him up enough, but Shane Steichen is a really good offensive coach, a really good offensive mind. And I'm sure his staff has coached him up as much as they can. And I know people out there listening are going to go, Mo, he basically missed all of his rookie year. He's 6-7 games into the current season, and you're giving up on him. I'm not giving up on him. What I am saying is, when they drafted him, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that said this, I was like, he's a project. It's going to be a minute. Like, if you draft him, you don't go, we got our guy and he's going to step right in and be ready to go. Like, you could tell incredible athleticism, but not a natural quarterback. Just a great athlete. We talk. This goes back to like Jamarcus Russell, right? The guy could throw the ball a mile, but he couldn't play quarterback. Anthony Richardson can throw the ball a mile, and he certainly is a terrific athlete. I don't think he's a quarterback. I've said that before. I think Chris Ballard just needs to come out and own it and go, it just is. It's not going to work out. Does it mean that Anthony Richardson's career is over? No, not by far. But I think he would have to put in work, Chris, to establish himself as a viable backup.
Oh, I mean, there's some basic baseline things that you need from your starting quarterback in the NFL. You need someone that can read a defense and dissect a defense. You need someone that can make the easy stuff, the layups. Really, it needs to be 10 out of 10 times, but you'll probably take 9 out of 10 times if they can do some other things well to go along with that. You need someone that can be a thrower of the football. And they don't got to be a prolific thrower of the football, Mo. But if the 5-yard out is open, hit the 5-yard out. That's what you got to do. And you got to hit it 95, 96, 97% of the time, you look at his stats, and we're going to get nitpicky here because he's got 4 games last season. He's got 6 games this season. We've only got 10 games to look at. So, people are, oh, Chris is doing the stats again. Well, what do you want me to do? The guy's played 10 games. I don't have anything else to look at but what he's done in 10 games. And Mo, if you look at his numbers this season, I'm just going to give you completion percentage. 47.4, 50, 50, 75, 41.7, 31.3. In 10 games as a starting quarterback in this league, he is completing less than 45% of his passes. That's atrocious. That is awful. Zach Wilson is better than him by a mile as far as efficiency goes. Now, he may not have the athletic tools, and he never will have those athletic tools. But, Mo, what the hell do the athletic tools matter when you're completing 44% of your passes and you're getting beat down every week? Like, okay, great. You have 2 highlight reel plays a game. And, Mo, now we have to wonder if those highlight reel plays involve your feet. Do you need the next play off because you're too tired?
Yeah, I forgot about that part. I forget about that. He might need a break if he makes a 6 or 7 yard run. Yeah, I just think I don't want people to go like, oh, they're jumping down the young man's throat. I'm not. You pointed out. You're literally just pointing out the numbers, what you see and what you have to go on, and just those numbers that you put out there. That's why Joe Flacco's really starting, because at 40 years old, he is a better option, and it's not even close. When they play, I promise you, I can't guarantee you they're going to win the game, but their offense is going to move. It's going to look like a functioning NFL offense.
And I'll tell you right now, he may not say it out loud. He may not say it to another person on the team, but the happiest person in that locker room right now, Michael Pittman Jr., who for 3 years now, Mo, we've called the best 2 in the league.
Yeah.
Who's gotten no attention when Flacco has been under center because Anthony Richardson can't throw the football. So he's not getting the ball to his number 1 wide receiver consistently because he can't throw the ball. So if you are a Colts fan, I think you're in a good spot. I'm not saying you're going to the playoffs. I'm not saying you're going to win a ton of games. I think you're in a good spot to be able to come out of this and look like a competitive football team, Mo.
Agreed.
Because right now you don't have competitive play from your quarterback position, which means you're not a competitive football team. But on top of that, Mo, let's not overlook the fact the Indianapolis Colts are 4-4. They're better than the Titans, the Jaguars, the Browns, the Bengals, the Raiders. They're on par with the Chargers right now. They're better than the Jets, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. They are essentially a playoff team right now. If the playoffs began today, just by the math that I think I just did quickly in my head, I think they're the 7th seed. So you're making a move to replace your starting quarterback basically at the midway point of the season, where, Mo, the playoffs are not a far-fetched idea. If you're the Colts, you're looking at this saying we're 3-1 at home. We're not very good on the road. We got to work on that. We could be a 9-win team. We could go 9-8. And depending on how the rest of the AFC shakes out, we could slip into the playoffs this year.
No, I agree. Look, let's not forget, they've lost their share of really close games this year. Like their record could be even better if not for their quarterback. They're 4-4 despite him. They're actually a good football team. You say Pittman Jr.'s the happiest guy. The second happiest guy is Jonathan Taylor. You don't have to see 9 men in the box all the time because they're not afraid of you throwing the football. So yes, the Colts I think are a good football team, and you're right, at 4-4 with competent quarterback play. Look, what did they get from Minshew last year? I think Flacco's going to give you at least that, maybe a little bit more. Look what he did for Cleveland. I think they have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs.
They're actually the 8th seed in the AFC right now, just behind the 4-3 Chargers. So yeah, they are in the wild card conversation. heading into the midway point of the season, Mo. Before we start breaking down the games, I just want to give you one little tidbit. It brought a smile to my face. I don't know how you're going to feel about it, though. But, you know, any NFL game you go into, Mo, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of statistics that you're kind of looking at for your squad that you're kind of like, all right, if we can get this and this and this to happen, we're going to be in a good spot. And generally speaking, you're thinking if you're an NFL team, you want to put at least 20 up, right? We got to get 20 on the board. That's 3 touchdowns. We get 20 on the board, we're probably going to be in a decent spot. Let's not turn the ball over. No turnovers. 20 on the board, no turnovers. And man, if our defense could like lock down a little bit on the other side and like, you know, hold them to like 250 or less. Those are pretty good numbers, right, Mo? 20 on the board, no turnovers, defense locks down 250 or less. You're probably going to win a lot of those ball games. Is that fair?
I would agree. No doubt.
In fact, you win all those ball games. Up until this past weekend, Mo, NFL teams that did just that, 20 plus points, no turnovers, and their defense held the other team to 250 or less. They were 756 and 0. Never lost a game in that scenario until Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets came to town, baby. And they went over 20 points. They didn't turn the ball over. And they held the Patriots to less than 250 total yards. And they lost the game 25-22. And they are an absolute dumpster fire in New York, Mo. Who do we blame? Because we fired the coach already. It was his fault. It was his fault. Things weren't going well, so we got him out of there. The receivers suck. Let's go get Davante Adams. Let's go bring him in so that he could lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers twice in 8 days. I'm sure he really enjoyed that opening experience as a New York Jet, just getting whooped twice by the Steelers in 8 days.
Right.
I saw a post-game interview with Adams after the game this weekend, and they were talking about what Breece Hall broke off this ridiculous like 60-yard play on a screen pass that probably should have went like 7 yards. But he takes it for 60. He gets like inside the 5-yard line, and they pan to the New York Jets sideline. Nothing. Mo, you could have shown me that picture and said, Chris, what time of day is it? And I would have been like, oh, is the game just getting started? There was no indication that the Jets just broke off a 60-yard play because there was nothing happened on those players' faces. And Adams was basically like, what are we doing? Like, we can't even celebrate our own success.
Right.
Like, why? I don't understand. I saw the same thing. I looked over there and no one was celebrating. It was the craziest thing. I mean, even the Raiders celebrated their own success, Mo. But it wasn't the coach. It wasn't the wide receivers. When do we blame Aaron? Is it time yet? Do we blame Aaron now? Do we blame Aaron if they lose to the Texans? When do we blame Aaron?
I'm wondering that too, right? We got rid of Saleh. We demoted Hackett, right? We bring in Davante Adams, right? And nothing gets better. You're still losing. And in the offense, it's not very good. How do you not look at the quarterback position? Like somebody pointed out, like, say what you want, but they were better, at least record-wise, with Zach Wilson.
They were.
I'm just saying, in no way am I saying Zach Wilson is better than Aaron Rodgers, but I am saying this: as gifted a player that Aaron Rodgers is, he's a lot of things. I don't think he's ever been a leader.
He is a lot of things, but Mo, let's ask the bigger question. You take a look at Brett Favre, and I think this is a fair comparison, right? So you look at Brett, he did his thing in Green Bay. He goes to New York for a season, and a lot of people don't remember this, Mo. The Jets were good with Brett Favre for the first half of the year. Favre suffers a shoulder injury around the midway point in the season, and the second half of the season, the Jets basically fall off a cliff, and they miss the playoffs, and it doesn't end well in New York for Favre. He's one and done. goes to Minnesota and has a couple of good seasons with the Vikings. And you look at Favre and you talk about Favre's legacy, and we kind of skip over the season with the Jets because he went to Minnesota afterwards and he brought them to the playoffs. He had success with the Vikings. What about Aaron, though? If this is it, if this is the end of his career, Mo, I don't think he deserves to walk away from this without a blemish. He's still going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Nope,
Hands down. But the entire New York Jets franchise bet on you. They put all the chips into the Aaron Rodgers boat. They gave you everything you asked for. They brought in everything that you needed. You were given the keys to the franchise, and whatever you needed, Aaron, whatever you needed to be successful, it was hand delivered to you. And this is what we get. Now, we can't control the injury. Can't control that. It happens. It's horrible. We move on. But this is what we get. 2-6. Mo, they're 2 losses away from basically not making the playoffs. The way I look at it is, in the AFC, you're going to need 10 wins, which means you have to go at least 10-7. I don't think any 9-8 teams are going to get in. So once you pick up your 8th loss, as far as I'm concerned, for all intents and purposes, you're not making the playoffs no matter what you do the rest of the season. The Jets are sitting on 6 losses right now. So they basically have one more loss to give away if they still want to make the playoffs. And they got the Houston Texans this week, a playoff team, a good team. If they lose to the Texans, they would basically have to run the table and win their last 8 games if they theoretically want an honest chance to make the playoffs. This is not a playoff team. They're not going to the playoffs. The schedule doesn't line up for them to go to the playoffs. Does it stick to Aaron?
It should stick to him. You make a great point. It definitely will stick to him, Chris, if this is it. If Aaron Rodgers does like Favre and goes, you know what, it didn't work out here, but I got a little bit left, because I don't think there'll be a shortage of teams that will still go, no, I think Rodgers could help us, because there are some quarterbacks out there that he's still better than that are starting quarterbacks. Would somebody be interested in giving him a shot for a season? Absolutely. Could he turn it around and do what Favre did? I remember Favre in Minnesota. I think the Vikings were like 12-4 one of those seasons. Like, I remember Favre having almost an MVP like season. I remember Favre whooping up on Green Bay on national TV, and whooping up on Aaron and company national TV. It's like, so could that happen if he decides to play beyond this season? Yes. But if he walks away and the lasting memory is what he did with the Jets, yeah, I think that stain sticks with him, and it has to. It doesn't change him being a Hall of Famer. You pointed out the obvious, but it does make you wonder, like, for all the, because what you always lead with Aaron Rodgers is he may very well be the most talented quarterback that ever played outside of a Mahomes, right? But for all his talent, for all the numbers, he won 1 Super Bowl. I'm just saying.
And those things matter, because again, Mo, and we talk about this all the time, we talk about it a lot in basketball as well. Once you're in the penthouse and you want to go to the top floor, you split hairs, because when you're in the Hall of Fame, it's a big room. A lot of people are in there. A lot of people have access, Mo. But as you start making your way up the building and you're going to the tippy top floor where the elite of the elite hang out, not everyone gets to go there. Not everyone gets to sit at that dinner table, and for good reason. And when you look at just pure talent, I think Aaron's at that table all day. I think Aaron throws one of the greatest footballs that I have ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of great quarterbacks. And I think he throws a better football than Peyton Manning. I think he throws a better football than Tom Brady. I think he throws a better football than Patrick Mahomes. I think he throws a better football than Steve Young.
Keep
I think-
going. Better football than Joe Montana. I'm not
Correct.
arguing.
But throwing the football is great. But where are the rings? Where are the rings when you made the playoffs? And it's not like he's a Matthew Stafford, right? It's not like he's a good quarterback that just played for a god-awful team for the better part of a decade.
Correct.
And he was putting up numbers and doing his thing, but he never had a defense around him. He barely had an offense around. Like, he's just trying to make gold out of straw over here. That wasn't the case. For the majority of his career, he had a good to great offensive line. For the majority of his career, he had talent at the wide receiver position. He had talent at the running back position. He had stable ownership. He had good head coaches. But yet here we are, one Super Bowl. And in all of that, Mo, not only do you have playoff struggles, you have playoff struggles at maybe one of the greatest home field advantage playoff venues in the league in Lambeau. A lot of his losses in the playoffs came at home to not great quarterbacks. Garoppolo, Colin Kaepernick.
I witnessed it. You don't have to tell me. I enjoyed it. I witnessed it.
I mean, say what you will, but that's all. When the career is over and you're splitting those hairs, I don't think Aaron Rodgers gets into the top floor of that quarterback penthouse. I think he comes up one door short, Mo, if this is how his story ends.
I agree. You pointed out the guy's played with talent his whole career. He wasn't one of those quarterbacks bereft of talent around him. You know what? You're really big on the guys that are overcomers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron puts up a lot of numbers, and he definitely has overcome a ton in the regular season, but he hasn't overcome a lot in the postseason when it matters most. And some of the quarterbacks that he's lost to, they are not the who's who of the NFL in the postseason. I'm with you. You're in the penthouse for sure. I don't know if you're sitting at the big table in the penthouse, but you're in that penthouse. And you know, Brady's sitting there having a conversation, and he's talking to Marino, and they're talking to Manning, and then they're going, "Yeah, Rodgers, you can come over here, but you know, just get a plate and go back and sit over there." Like, that's what that is. I don't put him in that pantheon, and I know he's more decorated than some of those guys, but the eyeball test tells me Dan Marino, I would take Dan Marino over Aaron Rodgers 9 times out of 10.
And Mo, let's not forget that Super Bowl also came pretty early in his career. So he makes his playoff debut in 2008. They get the win over Seattle that year. He's back in the playoffs in 2010. They lose to the Cardinals. 2011 is the Super Bowl run. They knock off Philly, Atlanta, Chicago, and then Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl. And so at that point, he's 5-1 in the playoffs. And since that point, since the Super Bowl, which was his 5th playoff win to his 1 playoff loss, since that point, he has gone 7-9. 7-9 since winning the Super Bowl in the playoffs. It's a losing record. Like, I don't know what more you want to say. And it's not like he's losing games to Tom Brady every season. It's not like he's running into this Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger pick the year, because whichever year I played them, they happen to be the best team in the league that specific year. What was I supposed to do kind of thing? He played in the NFC. Who was over there? He was the guy, Mo. He was the guy over there.
Right. He's Brady in the NFC for all that time.
Right.
And the NFC was wide open for the prime of his career. The NFC is wide open, and he looks like a world beater during the regular season. And the reason why we never saw him versus Brady is he didn't hold up his end of the deal.
Correct.
Period.
Correct. I do believe he does have one playoff loss to Brady when Brady was with the Bucks. But man, oh man, like I said, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He deserves to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. But once you start breaking down greatest of all time, I think he's going to fall short of that by default because of his playoff record. Apparently, he got injured in 2008, Mo, and he was not there when the Packers lost to the Giants in the second round of the playoffs. Go figure. Go figure. Go figure. All right, Mo, let's pick some football games, shall we, sir? Let's start off with the the Halloween spectacular. It is Mr. Aaron Rodgers himself. It is the 2-6 Jets playing host to the 6-2 Texans. Again, I really, really buy into the fact that you need 10 wins if you want a chance to make the playoffs. That means the Jets can only lose one more game. I think they are going to lose this game. I know that the Texans, and maybe I'm on an island here, I think they're an underwhelming 6-2. As I don't know how you can be underwhelming at 6-2, Mo, but I look at the Texans and I'm not scared of them right now. I don't look at the Texans in the AFC the same way I look at the Chiefs. I don't look at the Texans in the AFC the same way I look at the Buffalo Bills. I look at the Texans and I say they're a good team. They're well coached. They have some playmakers. But I would still take the Bills over the Texans. I would still take the Chiefs over the Texans because I don't think the Texans are that top tier despite having the 6-2 record. That being said, they're going to easily beat the New York Jets, and they're going to move to 7-2 in my opinion. So I'm going Texans here.
Man, I want to go Texans so bad, but I want to point out, let's not forget, they're minus their two best wide receivers. They're gone.
They are. That is true.
And while I don't know what the Jets offense is going to do, I actually expect the Jets defense to give CJ Stroud hell. And look, I think Stroud is the real deal, but it's clear the league has adjusted to him, and he hasn't bad. You know what a good comparison is? This season he's been kind of Trevor Lawrence-like. And they're still winning, but like you said, it's not the kind of 6-2 where you're like, I could see them beating the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. I can't. Even with the Ravens defense being what it is, I think the Ravens would maul them again like they did before. I'm going to go with the Jets for the upset. I think this is going to be the game where they make a stand, and it's set up perfectly because I don't think Houston's offense is going to be able to move the ball as well.
And for any Texan fans out there who want to go up in arms, I got the numbers right here in front of me. You open up the season with a 2-point win over the Colts. The Colts aren't a great team. You got a 6-point win over the Bears. The Bears are not a great team. You got blown out by the Vikings 34-7. You bounce back with a 4-point win over the Jaguars. The Jaguars are not a great team. You got a 3-point win over the Bills in a game the Bills should have won had they handled the fourth quarter with any sense of logic. But they did not do that. So you get a 3-point win there. You come back and you blow out a bad Patriots team by 20. You lose to the Packers by 2. And then for the second time this season, you eke by the Indianapolis Colts with a 3-point victory last week. I'm looking at the Texans and I'm saying, okay, they're 6-2, and they got the Jets, they got the Lions, they got the Cowboys coming up. I don't know. I mean, Mo, you know how the NFL works. Those close games, most teams don't win a bunch of them. It usually evens out. You're usually closer to 500 in those one-score games, and I think that the Texans are kind of playing above their skis right now in these one-score games. And let's go a little bit further with this Texans schedule. So we go Jets, Lions, Texans. They get a little break with the Titans. Then they go Jaguars, Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens. I mean, are they blowing any of those teams out? I don't think they are.
I think they're going to be in a situation where you pointed it out. They're going to lose some of those low scoring games. Look, I don't think the Lions is going to be low scoring games. I think the Lions are just going to outright beat them. You could argue the Lions is the best football team in the NFL right now. I think the bottom line is, do I think the Texans will make the playoffs? I do, but I don't think they go in there with 13 or 14 wins. I think when it's all said and done, like you said, those losses will balance out. I think they get in at 10-7.
The Dallas Cowboys, who are 3-4, travel to the Atlanta Falcons. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a field day against this Cowboys defense, which has been on a roller coaster ride all season long. And Mo, you called this. You said this from the summer. You said the Cowboys aren't making the playoffs. I have them ending up 3-5 after this week. I'm going Falcons.
I'm going Falcons as well. I think the Cowboys, when you look at it, two basic things: can't run the football, can't stop the run, and they're less than one dimensional. They have a quarterback, they have a wide receiver. They're not even one dimensional. Like I think that kind of football team, you're not supposed to make the playoffs.
The 5-3 Broncos head to the 5-3 Ravens. Give the Broncos credit where credit is due, Mo. They're playing winning football. They're beating the teams that they need to beat on their schedule. Their quarterback is looking more comfortable week over week. But I think Bronco fans are going to find out this week that the 5-3 Broncos are not the same as the 5-3 Ravens. And despite the defensive woes of the Ravens, I don't think the Denver Broncos are going to be able to slow down Lamar Jackson in that offense. So I'm taking the Ravens here. I think they're going to win pretty comfortably going away towards the end.
I'm taking the Ravens as well. Even with their loss last week with the Ravens, that was more about play calling and their defense. I don't know how a guy who's been on the tear that Derrick Henry's been on only gets 11 carries.
Crazy.
I don't know what you're trying to do, or you're trying to be too cute. Don't just keep it simple. Hand the man the football and watch him do his work. So I think the Ravens win as well. But I'm with you. I'm really impressed with what Denver's done. But they're going to take an L this week.
The 2-5 Dolphins head to the 6-2 Bills. The Bills should win this game for multiple reasons. One, the Bills own the Miami Dolphins the last 7 years. The Dolphins cannot beat the Buffalo Bills. They can't do it in Miami. They can't do it in Buffalo. They can't do it with Tua. They can't do it without Tua. So the Buffalo should easily roll here, Mo, to a multiple score victory. And for that reason, I am taking the Dolphins because, like I said, my math is simple. Once you hit 8 losses, you're not going to the playoffs. Miami is currently at 5, and they have a handful of good teams on their schedule, and they have a handful of very winnable games on their schedule. And the math plays out like this, Mo. And I'm actually going to pull up the Dolphins schedule right now so I can tell you my Dolphins math, because I looked at this prior to coming on the air this morning. So when I look at the Dolphins schedule, Mo, and I'm looking at games that I'm not saying they're going to win all these games. I'm looking at games where I say, okay, that's either even or they have a slight advantage in that game. So the Bills game is a hard game. The Rams game is a hard game. They got the Texans. They got the 49ers. So those are 4 teams right there. Those are tough. Oh, and the Packers. That's their 5th team. So 5 teams, all good teams, all arguably better than Miami. Then I see the Jets. I see the Browns. I see the Jets. I see the Patriots. I see the Raiders. And I see a Rams team that is injured beyond belief. So that's 6 right there, Mo. That's 6 games where the Dolphins are probably even-keeled with their competition. That's 8 wins if they sweep those 6 games. That means between those 5 hard games, Mo, the 5 games where they're probably not going to be favored, the Niners, the Texans, the Packers, the Bills, and the Rams, they got to win 3 of those. Why not? Why not just beat Buffalo and just make me feel better about myself, Mo? Miami has no pressure on them this week. The offense looked good last week. The defense did not. I I look at this and I say every other time the Dolphins have played the Bills the past 3 years, first place has been on the line, playoffs have been on the line. I think this is a trap game for Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to go into this game and they think and as they should, they think they're going to roll over Miami. And I think Miami is going to stink up on them this one. So I'm going Dolphins in an upset that no one's probably going to agree with me. And I'll probably be sitting here on Monday after a 25-point whooping with my tail between my legs. But I'm going Miami with the upset.
Well, you won't be on that hill alone. I think the Dolphins come into that game with house money and with no pressure on them. And while the Bills have played well and Josh Allen has had a good season, I don't think their offense is a juggernaut. I think the Dolphins win a shootout. I'm going to go with Miami. I think that this game, Tyreek Hill, Waddle, I think they both get unlocked, and I'm going with Miami in a shootout.
And well, the other reason I like Miami here is because this is supposed to be the easy part of Buffalo's schedule. They got Miami this week. They have Indy next week. And then they go on a little run. They go Chiefs, Niners, Rams, Lions. Say what you will about the Rams. They could still be very hurt by then or at that point, even though they are getting healthier. They got Kupp and Puka back. But you're looking at the Chiefs, the Niners, and the Lions in 3 out of 4 weeks. That is a gauntlet right there if you are the Buffalo Bills. And that's going to be basically a measuring stick month for Buffalo. So again, you got these little things that set up with the schedule. And I think Buffalo coming off of a big win against Tennessee, easy team, coming off of a big win against Seattle, who's trending in the wrong direction. So they've flexed their muscles back-to-back weeks, 34-10, 31-10. I think they're coming into Miami thinking it's going to be much of the same. And I like what I saw last week from the Dolphins offense, and I think it's going to look even better this week with another week of Tua in practice and Tua doing his thing. And I think they're going to stink up on them. And I think they're going to pull out that W, Mo.
I'm with you. I like it.
We got the 2-6 Saints and the 1-7 Panthers. Derek Carr should be back for this game, Mo, but he has said, I'm not a savior. I'm not a savior. Okay. Mo will agree. Will agree with you.
I wholeheartedly agree. You're not that.
But regardless, it's the Panthers and the Saints are going to win.
Right. So he'll look like a savior for a week. Yeah.
Right.
They're going to win that game, but I have no confidence in New Orleans going forward.
We got the 2-6 Raiders heading into the 3-5 Bengals. The Bengals are a better football team. Joe Burrow's been playing well. I know the 3-5 record doesn't show it, but the Bengals are going to get one step closer to getting back to 500 this week. I think they're going to knock off the Raiders.
You know what? The Bengals offense has been playing well. The defense has been bend, not break. I do think they get a win over the Raiders. I think Joe Burrow and company get back on track. I'm with you.
We got the 4-3 Chargers heading to the 2-6 Browns. How crazy is it? The Browns are the Chargers are probably going to be 5-3. That's wild. Speaking of the Chargers, did you see that play this past weekend with the defensive player Gator rolling? The Chargers quarterback?
I did not see that.
It looked like, so the play's over. So the defensive player is on the ground. He's right around Herbert's feet. Play's over. And he's got Herbert's ankle locked in. And he goes full Kurt Angle on him 4 or 5 seconds after the ball is released and the play has happened. And he rolls him up, takes him down, and like twists the ankle of Herbert. Like most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. And then as he still has his ankle locked in, the offensive lineman who was blocking up past Herbert and is now walking back down the field sees it and just lays the dude out. Just lays him out to get him off his quarterback. And I'm sitting there watching the replay the other day. I'm like, that's never going to happen for Anthony Richardson. That's crazy. That's crazy right there. Mo, I'm going Chargers to get to 5-3. Are you going Chargers as well, sir?
I am. I'm going to go with Chargers. Look, Jim Harbaugh has a simple formula. He wants to run the football, play action pass, and it's working.
Mo, are the Commanders the most surprising team in the league this season?
I would say for sure the Commanders, and then the Vikings are a close second.
The 6-2 Commanders head into the 2-6 Giants. Mo, it is very likely that the Commanders are going to be 7-2 coming out of this game, but I do want to point out the Giants have a top 10 defense. We don't talk about it that much because the Giants offense absolutely sucks, but they do have a top 10 defense. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be kind of touch and go through the first 3 quarters. And then I think the better team is going to win in the 4th quarter, and that better team is going to be the Commanders. But I'm not predicting a blowout here, Mo. I think this defense has been good this season. I think they're going to be good again this weekend. Unfortunately, if you're the Giants, you just have no offense.
Yeah, that offense it's a little bit of a mess. And it's not all on Daniel Jones. Their offensive line is amongst the worst in the NFL. I do think I'm with you. I think it's a close football game, but I like the fact that Jaden Daniels is so poised. I think he finds a way to win a close football game. I just the difference between him and then we were talking about Mr. Richardson. It's a canyon. And maybe that's even another reason. If I'm looking over there, then I'm looking at my guy. I'm like, man.
That's the last thing you want to do if you're the Colts front office is look over there at that guy and then look back at your guy because that it didn't work out the way you wanted it to, Mo.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, is there a GM support group? Like, does Lynch go to it? Lynch goes to it. Ballard goes to it. And they just talk about what they thought was going to happen. They talk about what Trey Lance was supposed to be. They talk about what Anthony Richardson was supposed to be.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's a support group, but the thing is, they're probably looking at Lynch and going, "You get so lucky with Purdy. You're lucky." Because I know they're all saying, like, if Purdy doesn't become, you are so fired.
We got the 4-3 Bears heading to the 5-4 Cardinals. I know the Cardinals don't have a great defense, Mo, but I like what they're doing at the quarterback position. I'm going to go Cardinals here.
I'm going Cardinals as well. Kyler is balling. Kyler's balling, running the football. Harrison Jr.'s come alive. Like, I like everything they're doing offensively, and they're really scary offensively because they kind of wear you down, and Kyler wears you down, and eventually he breaks a big play on you, and the floodgates open. So I like the Cards as well.
There was I threw something across the room. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I did. 3rd and 6. The Dolphins get a stop. They're going to kick a field goal, but they're going to get the ball back with about a minute to go to see if Tua can do something. And the defense was perfect. They set the edge. They knew where Kyler was going to run to, but they couldn't bring him down. He did the little shimmy. He did the little shake. He did the little stutter step. He made 3 guys miss, and he picks up 8 yards, and that seals away the game. When Kyler is doing that kind of stuff, he is hard to contend with, Mo, because at that point, it doesn't matter if you know where he's going to be because you can't bring him down.
The guy is so quick and so shifty in space, and he does this little hesitation, and then he's got this quick burst, and the defender can't recover. He's electric. He's an electric player. I think the Cardinals are going to be a fringe playoff team.
The 2-6 Jaguars head to the 5-2 Eagles. The Eagles should roll here. I jumped off this Jaguars bandwagon a long time ago. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence isn't the guy. I'm just saying the Jaguars aren't the team.
I like the way you put that. I can't say he's not the guy either because he's never been bad. He just hasn't wowed me. I think the Jaguars are just going to have a down season, and that front office, that GM, they're going to have to get together and find out what they're going to do, roster construction, maybe what you're doing around Trevor Lawrence. Like, they have good receivers, but maybe you need to go out and get him a legit elite number one receiver, somebody that's special. They have good running backs, but I don't think they have anybody that you look at and go, that guy's like Saquon or C-Mac. Like I just think they need to go out and get playmakers around him.
And what could be the game of the week, the 6-1 Lions head to the 6-2 Packers. The rumor and innuendo, Mo, is that Jordan Love is going to attempt to play in this game. He said during the week that not practicing during the week is a non-issue for me. I'm going to be good to go. I'm going to gut it out, and we're going to make it happen. We'll see. Obviously, if Malik Willis is the starting quarterback, despite what he's done this season, the Lions are going to roll if Malik Willis is the starting quarterback in this game. I'm not convinced the Packers win this game if Love plays, because he's not going to be 100%. He's not going to be the mobile version of himself. And not to mention, I think I would take the Lions even if Love was completely healthy. I think the Lions, like you alluded to earlier, are the best team in the NFL, which means they're better than the Green Bay Packers. So I think I would go Detroit regardless. But the fact that you have a banged up quarterback who may or may not play, I think this feeds into Detroit's hands. I'm going Lions.
I'm going Lions as well. Malik Willis has played well as a backup. He's proven he's a viable quarterback. But to your point, if they had Jordan Love, I still would pick the Lions. They're just a better football team.
The 3-4 Rams, the 3-4 getting more healthy Rams are heading to the 4-4 Saints. I'm going to go Rams here, which is going to put the Rams at 4-4, and they're going to leapfrog Seattle in the division, who is going to fall to 4-5. Man, Mo, if that happens, what an unfortunate turn of events for the Seattle Seahawks after a 3-0 start to be sitting here at 4-5. Not what they thought was going to happen this season.
We've seen this before, and I've learned the hard way. You've pointed this out to me, so I'm looking at it. Here come them Rams again. Here come them Rams. You know, Matthew Stafford, maybe he's like Joe Burrow. They get off to a slow start, and then they just pick it up midway through. A healthy Rams team is a dangerous Rams team. I've said this before. Only one team is going to come out of that division and make the playoffs because of their records and how they're all beating each other up. It might be the Rams.
And Mo, if you take a look at the standings in that division, again, you know, we make our picks going into the season. We think we know what's going to happen, how it's going to shake out. Looking at that division right now, you got, where are they? The Cardinals, the Niners, and the Seahawks are all 4-4. And the Rams are right behind them at 3-4. So a Rams win this week, they move up, and they're either going to be in first place or they're going to be right behind whoever is in first place. We picked the Cardinals to win, but a Cardinals loss would drop them behind the Rams. And then as far as the 49ers are concerned, they are off this week, I believe. So they're going to stay at 4-4. So the Rams are a victory and a Cardinals defeat away from being tied for first place in their division.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
And look, like you said, we make our predictions of how we think they're going to finish record-wise. We go into the season, I'm thinking the Niners still the best team in that division. The season hasn't played out that well. Look, everybody's got injuries, so I don't make excuses. The defense been nearly as good as it's been the last 3 seasons. I really think it's a sprint to the end of the second half of the season, and I don't know who's going to win that division, but I think I'll go like this. In a quarterback-driven league, I would give the edge to a healthy Rams team.
The 4-4 Colts have the 5-2 Vikings Sunday night. I want to go Colts here. I think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna go Colts. Primetime game. Flacco's gonna be a little juiced up for it. I know the Vikings defense is good, but you have a Vikings defense that has a bunch of tape of what this offense isn't going to do against you, because they're going to do a bunch of things that Anthony Richardson couldn't do. So I think we're going to see wrinkles in there that Flacco's been doing in practice that hasn't happened in the game because he's not playing, and Anthony Richardson can't do it in the game because he's not that talented as far as being a pure thrower of the football goes. I think they're going to have a couple of wrinkles that the Vikings just didn't expect, and I think they're going to win a close game. I'm going Colts.
So I think Flacco's going to play well. I think he's going to put points on the board. I think the Vikings defense though finds a way to get at least one pick off of him, one turnover. I'm gonna go Vikings in a close game.
And then our Monday Night Football game. In case you forgot, Mo, the Chiefs are undefeated.
Yeah,
no one's talking about them. No one's really saying much about the Kansas City Chiefs, but they're undefeated. They're 7-0. They're trying to get to 8-0. And Baker Mayfield is trying to stay above 500. The Bucs are currently at 4-4. It's been a very up and down season for Baker and the Bucs so far. The Bucs have a lot of injuries, especially at the wide receiver position. I don't think this game's going to be close. I think this could be a blowout in favor of the Chiefs.
I'm going with Chiefs as well. Baker would have to play a perfect game to me to stay in the game. Kansas City's defense alone, to me, is going to be the decider. If the offense is just average, I still think they win this comfortably. So I'm going with the Chiefs as well.
All right, Mo, that is it for a Thursday, sir. Take us to the end.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
We are on a 72-hour break, but we'll be back here Monday morning breaking down everything that happened during the NFL weekend. We'll also be talking a little bit of the NBA and seeing what's happening over there as the season is just getting started. And we'll have all the fallout from the World Series. So make sure you are here with us on Monday for all of that and more. Coffee and Sports, it's the morning show powered by Wire to Wire Network. And we'll see all of you